I have a reoccurring series of dreams since I was a kid centered around this cosmic tower that extends from Earth and into space. It doesn't seem to have an interior, but there is a twisting ramp that spirals around it. This sort of roadway is wide enough for quite a number of people to cross together, perhaps 50 wide, maybe more. It is hard to gauge as people were spread out despite the room, and there were many people walking it like a pilgrimage or a journey, and for some a race. There weren't issues being in outer space, just walking along the steep ramp that spiraled high above the earth. At some point it evens out, and you walk far beyond the tower, and it's just this cosmic walkway. You go at your own pace, and it leads to planets and far across the galaxy. In truth, despite having this dream multiple times, I do not remember if there is an endpoint. Each dream was slightly different in terms of where I was on the pathway, who I was walking with, and so on. There are other dreams I've had too, ones in which stars began dancing in the night sky, where asteroids were raining down and galaxies swirled, and this whole scene was sort of waltzing, like the movie Fantasia where the brooms came to life. There was a surreal jitteriness to the sky above, on top of multiple unique anomalies just acting on their own. Hard to describe. In another version of this similar type of dream, the sky was simply one huge, multicolored vortex, like a nebula was forming in full view of the night sky. And again, it had this essence of being very alive and active, and the preceding breakdown of reality. Still another one started with this cluster of stars that resembled the Pleiadian constellation, though it was much more densely populated with stars. But this one too began to destabilize, the night sky springing to life and everything around bobbing from left to right. In another dream, the sky became very still, and I went outside to check. Right in front of me, only a few feet away, were these celestial holograms, translucent stills. There was a spider, a dragon, and snake, possibly others, but the details are hazy. They were almost what you'd expect if a cloud could be any color, almost with the texture of those foldable balloon animals, only these were made out of light. After this, I found myself in the open watching the moon eclipse the sun. As the moon approached the sun, it cast a dark shadow over the sun, as if it could block the light, and the moon contained a mystery found within its phases, that there was something more to it. Finally, another dream took place in a Victorian mansion. It was empty and abandoned, but they let tourists explore it. In one of the second-story floors was a drawing room, again empty, and the wooden floors were worn and aged, and the lighting dark as if trees obscured the outside. In the dark, at the right place, tiny glints could be seen coming from the floor, like a sparkle of glitter. If you could find the sparkle, you could lay down on the floor and peek through the floorboards. And in doing so, you saw the floor was really a peephole, and the sparkle was actually a star, and you could see into outer space, many stars, as if in the floorboards were secret observatories, pockets that led to outer space. But I could spend all day speaking of strange dreams. At some point we should get into the video, and for reasons that will become obvious, those dreams spring to mind while writing this. Journeys into the abyss, celestial flight, cosmic encounters, and the experience of inner galaxies, pacing the void, tracing stars, ascending, solar and lunar rituals, dream times, underworld passages, near-death experiences, trance and ecstatic quests, angelic visits, visions of light. The list goes on for many cultures, ways that heaven could be touched, ancestors or divinity communed with, the conduit for ascension, the throne of the gods, the palace in the universe, the wheel of the galaxy. When you die, you can join the endless whirls of stars. One of the oldest surviving religious writings are the pyramid texts of Unas, funerary inscriptions for the pharaoh Unas found written in the walls of his burial chamber. They were rituals for the aiding of the pharaoh's journey to the afterlife and his continued existence. They outline many important features of ancient Egyptian religion. They go into great detail how Unas is to become a star and join the gods among the stars. Nut represented the Milky Way, although she represented more than that. It was the firmament or the vault of the heavens. In other words, space, the galaxy. She held back the waters of the abyss, called the noon, and contained the entire sky both day and night. The Milky Way was her backbone, her spine. Each day the sun would sail across her body, be swallowed at night where she kept it safe in the duat, before its rebirth in the morning. The underworld, outer space, dreamland, these are the same place, the same state. They should be considered more or less interchangeable terms. In the summer the Milky Way is her back, and in the winter it is her arms, as she is arched over the entire cosmos. All of these examples that will be shown, they may have represented far more than just the Milky Way or stars. But the Milky Way was the proof of presence that the conclusions are self-evident, as one need only look up at the night sky to see for themselves these mysteries. One theme that needs to be clarified regarding ancient cosmology is the architecture of the galaxy, before we can explore the manner of the journey to the afterlife. The idea of ancient religions believing in a flat earth and a local sun is a misinterpretation by scholars. Anywhere there are descriptions of a disk or a firmament over the earth refer to the Milky Way. The disk is the center of the galaxy, and the idea of the firmament is the misinterpretation of this Milky Way, which is the vault that contains the cosmos. For all intents and purposes, is accurate astronomic knowledge. So the whole flat earth idea is based on the fact that scholars just didn't know how to conceive these ancient concepts in relation to their actual role in those cultures and religions. When you make an assumption and then come to conclusions based on that assumption, you create a preconceived reality based on made-up information. Everything is a story. Every fact is said to be true. Every truth said to contain reality. These are told and imagined, and these processes are biophotons. They take place in the mind, and so are light. Stars are the same kind of light. The night sky was visible to people of the past in a way that it is not today. They could see clearly the Milky Way, the arch of stars that seemed to encompass the whole cosmos. The Milky Way was, almost universally across the entire world, seen described as the following: a river, a ladder, a tree, a firmament or vault, a pathway, a bridge, a bone or body, a mountain or hill, a disk, a city, a throne, fields of grass or straw, ash or sparkling jewels. The Milky Way represented either the path to heaven or heaven itself, the residence of the gods, the river of souls. The Norse called the Milky Way Odin's Way, and it was the path Valkyries would take to bring fallen soldiers to Corpse Hall in Asgard. Still, it was the Bifrost or Rainbow Bridge which connected Midgard to Asgard. Yggdrasil means Odin's horse, because this was the path of Odin. Still, Ymir had to die first, and his body became the cosmic tree and the different worlds. And so it also recalls a similarity to Nut, that of the celestial bones of the universe. Finally, we see the world tree as the serpent Jormungandr that wraps around the world. Possibly these various attributions to the Milky Way speak to the diversity of roles that the Milky Way played, or the variations in interpretations from local folklore that over time merge and blend into a pantheon of beliefs, which we see especially in Greek religions, that the myths we read about today were dozens of local religions finding ways to fit together when empires were forged and their inevitable fall, and the scraps of ancient religions that are arranged together. The Greeks saw Mount Olympus and the river Styx as places on earth, but like the Yellow River in China, they were real places that were conduits to the underworld or to the heavens, the Elysian fields, or extensions to those places, so that the gods did not live on their local Mount Olympus, but the Mount Olympus that was the center of the Milky Way in the night sky. In astronomy called the galactic bulge, as it is the oldest part of the galaxy and is a spheroidal cluster of stars towards the center of the galaxy. It is the disk which forms around the core, and ultimately where our sun would have come from. Probably the mountains were seen as being closer to the gods, as many shrines exist to sky deities or heavenly bodies. So it is natural that the most sacred, the ones steeped in local lore and tradition, even superstition, would have the connection of being the earthly residence for the gods. And it is said that Zeus makes stars of heroes or those beloved by him, such as Heracles, Andromeda, Ariadne, Perseus, and many more. Of course, its milky appearance and our term, Milky Way, comes from the Greek myth of Hera feeding the infant Heracles, who was too strong it caused her to recoil, spilling milk across the cosmos. Other cultures similarly regarded cows or milk as part of the cosmic origin of the Milky Way, such as Newt, who also had other forms, but a celestial cow was one. The list of names or depictions is extensive. Cultures centered around rivers called it a river, such as Chinese, Indonesian, Egyptian, Japanese, Indian, and some North and South American cultures. Parts of Africa, Middle East, and Mongolia refer to it as a path of straw. Inca, San Bushman, Dakota refer to it as dust, ash, or even golden sprinkles. Winter cultures tend to refer to it as a path of snow, or skiing path. Others, the bird path, which was important for many cultures, in using birds as divine or celestial beings, or representing these things, because birds use the Milky Way to guide their migrations. So the associations of cultures with birds and the heavens is hopefully clear. Not to say it is the sole reason, but adds to it significantly. There are still more cultures in Africa and the Americas who describe the Milky Way as a backbone. It is as archetypal as the road or river depictions. It was also a rope, a ribbon, a beam, a belt. There exists lore from every inch of the world of stars and a river of souls, ferrymen, angels, valkyries, a god or goddess, a great bird, a celestial couple, a ladder, a road, and in some way, a process of becoming a star. The Milky Way embodies various figures, animals to some cultures, the first man and woman to others. They were campfires and gates to heaven. They are the kings of the past, dragonflies stuck in the bluish black thing, and giant burning infernos all at once. This motif, and really it's more than a motif, but you can see it in music and folklore and fairy tales, in plays and movies and books, in literature and religion, and you need to look no further than your own culture's lore or traditions or language, because every single culture is going to say these same things. That doesn't make it literal or real. Fair enough. What makes it true is that it is correct, that these are observations and experiences of phenomena, and religions and folk beliefs are the stories told around these unfathomable realities, of dreams and the unaccountable, the hidden and shadowy and unknown aspects of life and death, of the world and cosmos, of microbes and luck and misfortune and loss and hopes. These abstract concepts that occupy all the in-betweens of daily life. Everything has a story, and science, it too, is a story. People today will say that the current knowledge of astronomy disproves and debunks the heritage of the human race, and their belief of the stars and the eventual journey to them. But then the whole universe is connected by threads of dark matter, and that same dark matter is the molecule of melanin in our bodies, that all of nature and biology runs on and built itself around. And every star is radiating luminous energy around a center of dark matter, and every cell in our body is dark matter with luminous energy radiating around, because astronomy and cellular processes function through the same properties with the same molecules. And there are forces, tethers, gravities, fields, and ropes, and these examples reference all kinds of pathways, of pipes, threads, strings that lead to areas of space. There are electromagnetic points of reconnection, flux transfer portals, or streams of gravitational orbit, and these can carry particles to and from the planet. So the dark matter and the light of your life, when death comes, can ride those waves, those currents, that river that connects planets and stars and galaxies together. We seem to have choices, because there are a lot of stars, and the life you live, because that determines what happens to the dark matter and the wavelength of light you create, that sears itself into the dark matter, which is the most stable particle in the universe. It will contain your light because its property is to absorb. Upon death, when your body scatters into the wind, the type of matter you have forged through your life will be drawn to whichever area of the galaxy emits that wavelength. Every star that shines its light on Earth means there is a connection, a bridge of light that extends from star to Earth, regardless of the distance. Things are more closely related than they appear. The points of connection create a transfer vortex. It's like a cosmic passage where particles can flow as if they are nearby. This goes on all the time. Light from the stars means it has reached Earth, means it has reached you. And in order to see it means that light has entered your body, absorbed by your senses and cells and dark matter. There are places in the universe where many gather, places reserved for the best of the best, areas of torment, possibly a return to the Earth as well. People can find each other, drawn by the attraction and gravity that dark matter in the cosmos and cells operate through, whether to find loved ones in the void of space, traversing the cosmos, or tales of revenge, places of punishment, a sliver of paradise. And, for some, to become a new star, to cause such an impact that the gravity finds its own place in the heavens and carves out a pocket of the universe where it shines on its own, forms light, and attracts dark matter to become a burning inferno, which to us is a twinkle in the night sky. But you have to be great. You have to be a legend. You need to complete the work of the self, which is to sear your light into the dark matter. And that means something different to everyone. And there's more than one way up the mountain, but you have to climb it. If not, you'll be dragged into the ocean of lost souls. That's as complicated as it needs to get. You live true to yourself. You do in your life what needs to be done. Build something great. Leave behind a future. Cultivate that which will never come in your life. Wait for something never to arrive. Take revenge on the wicked. Do good deeds. Live without fear. Help others. Create more than you took, or destroy what is causing others grief. Pull others out of the pit. You becoming a legend. That is all that matters to your dark matter. The afterlife will sort itself out. It is not something to be concerned with, an intention that is set, a path taken, a star followed, or a new one forged, a dream of what comes after. You set your sights here on earth to do something amazing, for yourself, for others, for the land and nature, for the gods and glory. Your place is with what light you follow, which star your light is added to. Ascension comes from the story of the world you contribute to, that you change, that will be told of you. All legends are stories, stories you are familiar with, that resound in the universe, and the great song, and all stories are echoes of this song, a tale of fire and light, and you can become a star.